Good afternoon, Padesh. Bolha here. Congratulations on another win and for leading the CBLOW at this point in time. 4-0 and winning every game pretty much, or on a good comeback, or on controlling the whole game. Padesh, the question I have about you about this time about the team is regarding the Jungle Ranger. We see on the last few games Ranger playing with champions there. They do scale, but they're not a resourceful champion. Like for example, Rumble spikes pretty well with two items. We have Volibear that does the same, and then other champions they're less resourceful champions. We know from streams and from content creation the Ranger likes playing Karthus, which is the full total opposite of it. Um, I understand that there is a draft around it, but is it something that's set on Flamengo where the jungle would be less resourceful than the other lanes based on individual ability on the solo laners or a certain aspect of the draft? Is that something that's set, or is just something that happened on the four first games and that might change later on the tournament?
Thanks for the question. And the thing about Ranger getting those champions is to make our draft as flexible as we can do. So if we want him to carry the game, we will give him the champions that he can carry the game out. But if we have certain drafts against some other teams, we will rely on other lanes to carry the game, and Ranger will be the guy who is supporting them with his pressuring game in the early phase. So it's kind of strategic thing to change our draft and keep like evolving about the draft too. So it will be less predictable. Whatever we go, they will be just thinking about it on the next time. So this game was completely different, for example, compared to our first two games. And next week, maybe it will be different again. So we're just practicing new things over and over again and try to get the most performance from those champions. So whatever we feel comfortable with, whatever we think is good against the team that we'll play against on the week, so we will choose around it. So basically, Ranger can play everything, and he's a really flexible player. So it gives us really good flexibility. Instead of like putting him on any role, we would like to put him on every role as much as we can.
Makes total sense. Thank you.
Hello, Padres. Gabriel from MDG Brazil. Um, on the first split of CBLOL, Flamengo had the best campaign. Uh, the team the team had some downs in the most important phase of the championship. How to not letting this happen again in the second split?
Hello, Gabriel, and thanks for the question. And last split, we had many issues at the middle of the split, and we couldn't keep our performance up to people's expectations. We started well, and even though we finished on the first place on regular season, it means nothing if you can't perform on the playoffs. So we learned from our mistakes last split, and we will try to make it more better on this split by keeping the discipline up and the level up on the mental level too. We will have to perform on the end of the split too, so we can keep like build things up on top of each other. So if we start well again, it doesn't mean anything if we can go like this. So we will try to make them stay on the same level or keep evolving in the gameplay phase. So if we keep going like that, we will have another chance to make a good run in the season. But let's see how we can do on the playoffs. Let's see if we get our lessons from the last split.
Thanks a lot.
Padesh, Bolha here again. And one thing that we see a lot when coaches, especially when coaches come to the press conferences, is they're saying that, oh, our team fighting needs to have a better setup, or our engage was not proper, or we had no follow up, or we have problems with our mid game transition, something like that. Every time we see Flamengo playing, we see the opposite. We see a team that sets up pretty well, a team that fights well, a team that does not engage most of the time without the need for it or without follow up. But we see sometimes gaps on the early game. Is that something that the players are too excited with the game and with the beginning of the championship and they lose a little bit of control in the laning phase? Or is that something that you guys focus a lot on setting up the fights and the mid-late game, and throughout the championship you guys are going to start developing a little bit of a better early game like we saw today? Today was a really good early game for Flamengo.
Okay, thanks for the question again. And it's kind of our draft is relying on going on to mid game, late game. So if we draft around early game like today, we wanted to practice our early game, and we showed it on this game, I assume. And if we want to build an early game comp, we go for like today's draft basically, and we can practice our early game. But we wanted to have more reliable comps into the other three stronger teams, so we can rely on our team game instead of the laning phase and individual skill, which gives you the championships, not the laning phase only. So we would like to grow on that part at the first, then we can put the missing things on top of them. So yeah, we are still learning about the early game. We are having some mistakes on the early game, but it's also because of the on the first three games. It was also because of our drafts too. We went into more scaling mid game team fight comps, and that's gonna be a usual thing to lose early game a bit, but we will try to keep it inside the limits. Don't lose hard, so we will win the mid game, late game with our decision making and with our team game anyways. So that was the plan, and looks like it's working out. And we will be trying to be more flexible, as you see from today, and we will try to bring more guns to the table on the next weeks.
That makes sense. Thank you very much, Padish.
Thank you too.